think darkness is your ally. You merely adopted the dark. I was born in it, molded by it.
Alright, let's be real. By the time a superhero trilogy reaches its finale, the formula is usually predictable. More explosions, more CGI armies, more sky lasers. But Christopher Nolan, he didn't play by those rules.
I was just really enjoying watching what Christian had done with the role. You know, we've been working on these films for 9 years. It's a long time that I've been watching him develop the character.
With The Dark Knight Rises, he went practical, and he went massive. Released in 2012, The Dark Knight Rises was not just the conclusion to Nolan's Batman trilogy, but also one of the most ambitious superhero films ever made. And here's the kicker. Nolan didn't rely on endless CGI spectacle. Instead, he pushed practical filmmaking to its breaking point, with real planes, real crowds, real explosions, and real danger. Think about it. The jaw-dropping plane hijack in the opening sequence? Filmed in the sky with an actual aircraft tearing apart mid-air. The collapsing football stadium? Shot with practical effects in front of a live audience. The Batwing soaring through Gotham's streets? A physical prop built full size, not just a computer model. And when Batman and Bane throw down in the streets, there's no digital trickery, just bone-crunching choreography in the freezing cold. Nolan doesn't just want you to watch these stunts, he wants you to feel them. He wants your stomach to drop during the plane hijack, your jaw to clench when Bane lands a punch, and your chest to rumble when the stadium explodes. That's why he takes risks other directors wouldn't even dream of. And hey, if you love deep dives into movies that refuse to settle for CGI, make sure to hit that subscribe button right now so you don't miss the next breakdown. Christopher Nolan has a filmmaking philosophy that's as simple as it is insane. If it can be done for real, it will be done for real. CGI isn't banned on his sets, but it's treated like that one friend who only gets invited when there's literally no other option. By the time he reached The Dark Knight Rises, Nolan wasn't content with just topping himself. He wanted to push realism to extremes. Why? Because he knew audiences were becoming numb to CGI-heavy blockbusters. When you see digital mayhem, armies of clones, exploding cities, collapsing skyscrapers, your brain checks out. It looks impressive, sure, but it doesn't feel dangerous. Nolan wanted you to feel the danger, to believe the destruction, to sense the stakes. And that meant using physics, not pixels. So instead of rendering a crashing plane in a server farm, Nolan and his stunt team went into the sky with a real aircraft. Instead of animating a collapsing stadium, they dropped explosives on a real football field. Instead of animating Batman's gadgets, they built them full scale. He once said, "If you can photograph something real, you should." And that's the mantra here. It's filmmaking as a high-wire act. No undo button, no second chances. And that philosophy gave The Dark Knight Rises a weight and grit that no amount of CGI could replicate. Let's start with one of the boldest opening sequences in blockbuster history, the mid-air plane hijack. Most directors would have said, "We'll just CGI it." Not Nolan. He insisted the stunt be shot in the sky with real planes. The sequence involved a C-130 Hercules military aircraft and a smaller executive jet, which had to be literally ripped apart mid-air. Here's how they pulled it off. Nolan's team hired real stunt pilots and skydivers. They flew the planes thousands of feet above the ground. Using steel cables, they suspended the smaller plane from the larger one and then tore it apart while cameras rolled. Stuntmen were strapped inside, actually dangling from the wreckage as it disintegrated in the sky. The craziest part? This wasn't a miniature, it wasn't green screen. It was a real jet being destroyed, filmed with IMAX cameras at terrifying altitudes. The precision required was insane. One wrong move and the stunt could have ended in disaster. Pilots had to fly in perfect formation, the cables had to hold, and the timing had to be flawless. And Bane's introduction in this moment, calmly speaking while chaos unfolds around him, is elevated by the realism. Tom Hardy's mask, the sound design, the roaring wind. It doesn't just look good, it feels terrifying. The opening doesn't just set the tone for the movie, It sets the tone for Nolan's filmmaking, risky, visceral, and unapologetically real. Next up, the stadium collapse, one of the most haunting images in modern superhero cinema. Nolan shot the sequence at Heinz Field in Pittsburgh, with the Pittsburgh Steelers and their real fans acting as extras. Instead of filling the stands with CGI crowds, Nolan packed the place with thousands of people. When Bane delivers his chilling speech and the field begins to crumble, the audience reactions are genuine, because they were really there. And the collapse itself? Not CGI trickery. Nolan used practical explosives and carefully rigged portions of the turf to sink, creating the illusion that the ground was disintegrating beneath the players' feet. Steelers wide receiver Heinz Ward actually sprinted across the field as explosions detonated behind him. That wasn't visual effects. That was a real athlete outrunning chaos. Sure, CGI extended the scope of the destruction, but the foundation of the scene, the live stadium, the real crowd, the practical blasts, gave it an authenticity that digital effects alone could never match. Enter the Batwing, Batman's futuristic aircraft. In most superhero movies, this would have been a CGI model flying through digital cityscapes. Not here. Nolan's team built a full-scale Batwing prop. It couldn't actually fly, but it was suspended on cranes, mounted on rigs, and dragged through Gotham's streets to give the illusion of flight. For aerial shots, they filmed miniatures and combined them with practical city photography. Every cockpit shot you see of Batman piloting? Real set, real lighting, not a green screen. The reflections, the shaking, the sense of confinement. All of it captured in camera. This attention to detail made the Batwing feel like a machine you could actually touch. A vehicle with weight, presence, and physicality. Superhero movies often end with CGI-heavy battles. Energy beams, crumbling cities, cartoon physics. Not here. Nolan went in the opposite direction. The fights between Batman and Bane are raw, grounded, and painfully physical. Christian Bale and Tom Hardy trained extensively to deliver blows that felt bone-crushing. When Batman takes a punch, you feel it. When Bane lifts him and breaks his back, the choreography is staged with terrifying realism. The street battle later in the film, with hundreds of extras clashing in Gotham's snow-covered streets, was staged practically. Real stunt performers, real chaos, real weight. No CGI armies, no digital doubles. Just actors and stuntmen going at it in brutal close combat. The result? A climax that doesn't feel like a cartoon, but like a war zone. Beyond the headline stunts, The Dark Knight Rises is packed with practical sequences people forget were real. The prison pit escape. That terrifying wall Batman climbs wasn't CGI, it was a massive, hand-built set in India. Christian Bale really scaled portions of it, with stunt doubles handling the riskiest leaps. The stock exchange chase, shot on Wall Street in broad daylight with real bikers, real cars, and IMAX rigs bolted to the pavement. Snow-covered Gotham. Instead of CGI snowfall, Nolan used thousands of pounds of fake snow spread across city blocks in Pittsburgh. Extras trudged through it. Actors fought in it. It looked and felt heavy because it was heavy. Each of these moments adds texture. They may not be as flashy as the plane hijack, but together they build that grounded atmosphere Nolan is famous for. So, was there CGI in The Dark Knight Rises? Of course. But here's the genius. It was used minimally and only to enhance reality, not replace it. CGI extended the plane wreckage, filled in parts of Gotham, and cleaned up shots of the Batwing. But it never became the star. Instead, Nolan used it as an invisible tool, ensuring the focus stayed on practical destruction and real stunts. This restraint is why the film still feels so grounded. Unlike many CGI-heavy superhero films from the same era, The Dark Knight Rises hasn't aged a bit. At the end of the day, The Dark Knight Rises proves that spectacle doesn't need to be fake. When you open your movie with a real plane hijack, blow up a real football field, and stage real hand-to-hand combat, the audience can feel it in their bones. That's why Nolan's Batman trilogy still stands tall even as other superhero movies fade into CGI overload. It's not just about what you see on screen, it's about knowing that what you're seeing actually happened. And that's the kind of filmmaking that never goes out of style. If you want more breakdowns of how legendary movies pulled off insane practical stunts, Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and give this video a thumbs up. We've got plenty more deep dives coming your way. Because when it comes to cinematic magic, Nolan proved it best. Reality always beats pixels.